where do you think that we're going to be in 5 years? Like in terms of, because we all know that the Starks trying to like get into the scene, like, and listen, Starks spending all the time and money to
Yep.
get
Right.
electrified bikes in
Yes.
real races,
Right.
and that is going to push everything. So like
It
where,
is.
yeah. So where do you think it's going to be?
Well, I mean, hopefully these companies, like we mentioned, can build real, like I would hate to say it, but Japanese quality bikes,
Mm-hmm.
Japanese level bikes, because once this thing gets big enough, Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, they're all going to have electric bikes, and they're going to be the quality that you expect out of a CR250 or
Yeah.
450 or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's going to change some things. Of course, they're going to be expensive. Their economies, the Japanese economy is just as fat and happy as we are. So it's going to
Right.
be expensive to make those bikes.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
there is that niche where, manufacturing in Taiwan or China or something like that might make the difference, as long as you can keep a control over
Yeah.
your product manufacture and development.
Right. Right.
So and it's the same thing. We unfortunately manufacture a lot of stuff in Taiwan or China because you just can't. If you can do it in America, but then somebody else is just going to make it in China and make it cheaper. So it's a matter of keeping control over it, not letting your machine shop create junk. You got to make sure they meet all your specifications and spec it out. Me being
Right.
from the engineering background, I know exactly, what hardness, what material, and what radius is everywhere, and just spec all that out, and you'll get a decent product.
Right.
But you
Right.
have to know what you're talking about, and
You have to be
be
able
able
to
to
call them on
demand.
it, basically.
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
and refuse it
Yeah.
which in the early days,
When you got 100 pre-orders.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
early days they would send you the sample, and it's beautiful, and you go order 1,000 of them in production. It's like junk, God.
Really?
Then you
That's
got to put each
terrible.
one on the lathe and fix it, or the mill and fix the
Right.
problem.
Right.
Yeah, but that's the establishing relationships with good production managers over there. Yeah.
So let me ask you this.
Mhm.
This is probably a great question for you. And then I want to talk about the TKO thing.
Yeah.
But chain driven versus belt driven.
Mhm.
What's your take?
I would love to stay on a belt. Just can't. I mean,
Just can't.
yeah, you put horsepower to it, and then you add in sand and dirt. I think for what the bike was intended for, we're talking about the Ultra V.
Yeah.
What the
Yeah.
bike
Yeah.
is intended for, it's great. It's silent. It really does last a long time. We had a couple of guys do the whole FTR series, I think, on one belt. A couple of
Really?
guys, stock power,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Of course.
they're C riders or B riders or something like that. So I think as long as you can, it's fine. It's just that's what we advertise all the time. Don't be that one guy getting stuck in the back of the woods and your
Right.
buddies have to tow you out.
Right.
And if you're
So
running,
what would you say like that power requirement is? Like at what point, because my son breaks belts, I don't. But that's just a factor of how hard he's pushing the bike versus me.
right?
At what
Sure.
power level do you think that it's time to transition? We can stick with the Ultra B, but really I think it kind of
I
goes
think it's like with
across
the
the platform.
rider. I think Caleb could break a belt in a week with stock power.
Right.
Just because he's gnarly
Right.
on the gas when you're in the whoops, not letting up, like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
skimming whoops that'll destroy the whole
Yeah.
drive line.
For sure.
So it all depends. That's one of our probably our biggest product right now is chain kits for everything. We sell them for
So
everything.
do you think it's like a necessary upgrade? Because I've always been like on the fence about it. I know it creates more heat, right?
Right.
So like,
Yes, a little bit more heat. You have to make sure, and we can talk about that too, because all these people looking like 520 kit is a mistake on an Ultra.
right.
It's just wrong. People just think, oh man, I need a bigger chain, and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's more heat. The plates have to travel more, creating more heat, and it's going to fail sooner. That's
So
why
what size chain would you put on an Ultra B drive?
the 420,
Belt.
yeah,
Okay.
420 sealed chains.
Okay. Gotcha.
We can use non-sealed. Matter of fact, I do in these GNCC and the FTR races,
Yeah.
so you can hear us coming up because they're
Right.
loud. But
Right.
that's one of our problems in all of these races is they don't know you're coming up behind them, and you scare the crap out of them. They hit a tree or they pull right into you, because you just scared somebody because he's resting, thinking nobody's behind him, and then
Yep.
you come up and scare the hell out of him. So we
Yep.
use the
Trying to
horn a
pass
lot.
them.
Caleb's on the horn a lot. If you saw him on the course at TKO,
Oh,
he's on the horn
dude.
because people love it. I mean, people just they go nuts and
But
ring
do
the
you
bell.
know it's turned into a thing now? Like my
Yep.
son and the other guy Jay that I had riding the 25. And the GNCC races, people don't move
I know
like
they will not. Right.
intentionally.
Yeah.
Like they
Well,
hear the horn and it's almost like they're being demoralized. So
right.
they're like, fuck it, I'm
Fuck you.
staying
Right.
right in this line. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's why Caleb was missing a fender when he came back.
I
Clobbered
had to run
people.
him over.
Yeah. And I remember Michael Swift.
Clean his ass out.
Yeah, my GNCC rider Michael Swift from the utility. He said, he said, Tennessee, I'll bump you once, bump you twice. If you don't move over, I'm putting you in the trees. You know, he would just ram you, and next corner you're going straight. I'm going around. I'm going
Yeah.
by.
Yeah, dude.
That was his thing. I'll warn you once, warn you twice. One more time, I'll
But I
put
mean,
you in the bushes.
it's funny though, because like it's when you show up to these places, if people don't know you or you don't know people, like you show up and people are like, immediately they don't like you. Like
Yep.
it's like it's not that they don't like you, but then it's like, finally they warm up and everything's fine. But the initial reaction when you pull up with a bunch of electric bikes to a gas bike race is like you're automatically playing from the back. So you have to go out and perform just to like prove yourself. Otherwise you're just going to be everything that they thought you were.
Right. But it's coming around. Like
It
in the
is.
beginning of the FTR, we were in Sportsman, and it had 80 people on the row.
Right.
And one time I looked over and it was Zach Osborne on his factory Husky practice
Yeah.
bike.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm on a light bee. What am I racing this?
Exactly. You're like
Never
looking
saw
up
him.
at him.
But we would all whole shot. If there's 4 of us, we'd all be in the front. And they got so angry at that they made it give us our own class, which
I think
the right thing to do.
I think that's where back to the question again is that I think. Do you think that in like the pro motocross space, we're not there yet. I know
No,
that,
right.
but pro motocross space, pro supercross space, that would you like to see from your perspective those bikes racing with other gas bikes, or would you like to see from your perspective a class specific to electric? And what do you think about that?
I think that it's going to be an electric class because I think they're going to be better, and we're going to see this weekend because Vince Freezy's going to be on a start.
I know.
World Supercross.
Stoked.
Yep,
I know.
That's gonna be cool.
He's really listen, brother. Like you gotta hold it down for us out here. Like
right.
we're counting on you.
Yep, right. And Freezy will ride his heart out no matter what. He will give it all he's got. And which I'm hopefully and proud. So yeah, we're gonna see. And that was a lot of work for Stark to get him to be able to do that. It took a lot of effort and a lot of persistence to allow him to compete and I talked about that in my article about AMA and FIM, they're afraid, especially AMA, sort of made some mistakes going from 2-stroke to 4-stroke, and it was kind of awkward and people are going, you killed that and they don't want to kill gas bikes. And, there's a lot of stuff to it, but I am interested to see them compete directly because I know when we compete directly, it's
right.
It's obvious. But eventually I think it's going to have its own class, be another thing. So we'll see. And that's the interesting thing, I'm not going in order, but, I raced motocross my whole life and I've always had a gas bike my whole life. And I bought that Light B. I never rode my 250F again. I sold it 2 years later, not running, never rode it again. Not because the Light B was better. It's just interesting. It's interesting and it is fun.